In the heart of a shining future city lived a man named Daniel. He was a wealthy single father. His life looked perfect to outsiders. He owned tall buildings, he had many cars, and people respected his name, but inside his big home, life was not perfect. His only son, Adam, was lonely and weak in school. Daniel gave him everything money could buy, but he could not give him a family, and he could not give him a true friend. Adam spent many hours alone in the large garden or looking out from his window. Daniel often worked late, and the boy carried silence as his closest companion. Teachers complained that Adam was slow in learning, other children laughed at him, and the father's heart broke every time he heard it, but he did not know how to fix it. He only knew business, not how to heal a child's sadness. One cold evening, Daniel returned early. He went to the park near his house. He wanted to surprise his son, who usually played there with no one, but as he walked closer, he froze. Adam was not alone. He was sitting on the grass with a girl, not an ordinary girl. Her clothes were torn, her face was pale, her hair was messy. She looked like she had been living on the streets. But there was something more, something strange. Daniel stood hidden behind a tree, his eyes narrowed. He watched carefully. The girl pointed at the sand with a stick. Drawing shapes and numbers, Adam followed with deep focus. The boy's face glowed with joy. He was smiling in a way Daniel had not seen in months. She was teaching him. But what she taught was not simple. Her hand moved fast. Her voice was soft. And she explained numbers that looked far too advanced for a child his age. Formulas and signs that even Daniel could not understand fully. Yet his son repeated them as if they made perfect sense. The father's breath slowed. Who was this girl? Why was she with his son? And how could a homeless child teach like a professor? Daniel's first thought was anger. He wanted to run and take his son away. But something stopped him. Curiosity pressed heavier than fear. His sharp eyes noticed her face again. Her eyes glowed faintly, not like normal eyes. They carried a light inside, like a reflection of distant stars. It sent a shiver down his spine. He stayed in the shadows, his heart beating fast. The girl never asked Adam for money. She never begged for food. She only gave knowledge. She spoke of planets. She spoke of the stars. She told stories of faraway places as if she had lived there. And the boy listened with wide-open eyes, repeating after her. Learning faster than ever before, Daniel felt torn. Part of him wanted to stop it, to drag his son home and lock the doors. But another part whispered that something important was happening, something beyond normal life. He had seen many strange things in business, but this was different, this was personal, this was his child, and his child was changing before his eyes. The girl suddenly lifted her head. She looked around as if she felt something. Her glowing eyes flickered. For a moment, Daniel feared she had seen him. But then she turned back to Adam and continued teaching. Her voice carried both sadness and strength. Daniel could not hear all the words, but he caught pieces. She spoke of loss, she spoke of running from danger. She spoke of carrying knowledge that must never be forgotten. Adam listened as if every word was treasure. The father's chest grew heavy. He felt anger, fear, and also a strange pull. Was she dangerous? Or was she a gift, his mind argued. But his heart whispered that this was not an ordinary meeting. This was fate. He did not believe in fate. But something deep inside him said this was the beginning of a story larger than himself. He watched until the sky turned dark. Adam hugged the girl before leaving, and she smiled faintly, a smile both gentle and broken. Daniel's fist tightened. He walked away slowly, his mind on fire. His son had found someone who could change him. But that someone was not from this world, he was certain of it. As he drove home that night, the city lights blurred outside his car window. His thoughts circled in endless loops. Should he call the police? Should he confront the girl? Or should he stay silent and watch? Questions filled his head, but answers did not come. Only one thing was clear. His life had taken a turn, and nothing would ever be the same again. The wealthy father had noticed a homeless alien girl teaching his son, and deep inside, he already knew. This was only the beginning of something far bigger, far stranger, and far more dangerous than he could imagine. Daniel could not sleep that night. The memory of the glowing-eyed girl haunted him like a shadow in his own house. He lay awake in his large empty bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing his son's voice echo in his mind. Adam was laughing with joy in the park, laughing with her, and the sound replayed again and again until Daniel's chest grew tight. He had never seen his son so alive, and that thought both warmed him and tore him apart the next day. Daniel acted like nothing had happened. He sent his son to school. He went to his office. He spoke to his workers, but deep inside his thoughts were restless. Who was she? Where had she come from, and why did she choose his son? Those questions circled him like wolves. Refusing to let him go finally, when evening came, he returned to the same park, this time with sharper eyes, this time ready to confront what he had seen. He stood far back, hiding behind the tall silver trees that lined the path, his expensive coat brushing against the rough bark, his heart beating like drums, and there she was again, the girl, sitting cross-legged on the cold grass, waiting. As if she already knew Adam would return, and then the boy came running, his face bright, his school bag bouncing, and he threw himself down beside her with excitement. Daniel's eyes narrowed. He listened, he watched, he studied her every move. She spoke slowly today, her voice calm like a river flowing through silence. She drew a circle in the dirt and filled it with strange signs. Not from Earth, not from any school book. Daniel had traveled across planets for business. He had seen many cultures, but never had he seen such symbols. They glowed faintly in the soil before fading away, like light trapped in dust. Adam gasped in amazement and repeated the signs with his tiny hands. Daniel's body went stiff. This was no normal girl, no lost runaway, no street genius. This was something else, something far more dangerous. Yet he could not pull himself away. His son's face shone with happiness, the kind of happiness that money and tutors had never given him. And Daniel felt helpless. He was watching his son change, and he could not decide if it was for good or for disaster. Hours passed. The girl never ate, never drank, never asked for anything. She only gave knowledge. Sometimes she whispered stories of the stars, tales of a war among galaxies, whispers of fire raining on a world until nothing was left. Adam listened with wide eyes, not afraid, but full of wonder, as if the stars had come down to sit beside him. Daniel felt chills crawl along his skin. Her words sounded too real, too heavy, too sharp for imagination. He was certain now. She had lived those stories on the third evening. Daniel did not hide in silence. He stepped closer, closer than before, his expensive shoes crunching the leaves. But still he stayed in the shadows. He wanted to hear her speak without her knowing. Her voice carried a sadness that wrapped around the boy, a sadness too old for a child's face. She spoke of knowledge that must survive. She spoke of carrying secrets too heavy for her small frame. And Daniel thought for the first time, maybe she was not just lost. Maybe she was running from something still hunting her. His chest grew heavy with a new fear. What if those hunters found her? What if they came here, to his son, to his home? The thought burned in his brain. He clenched his jaw. He was not just a father. He was a protector. He had lost his wife to sickness years ago, and he had promised to never lose Adam. Not to anyone, not to anything. But now a girl from the stars was sitting in the shadows of his life, and he did not know if she was friend or enemy one night. After Adam went to bed, Daniel returned alone to the park. He searched the shadows, and there she was, sitting in silence, staring at the sky, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars above. He stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Who are you?" he demanded. She did not flinch. She only turned slowly, and her voice came soft, almost breaking. "I am no one now. I am the last." Daniel froze. The words hit him like ice. The last of what? The last of who? But before he could ask, she stood and walked into the deeper shadows, disappearing like mist, leaving him with more questions than answers. He stood alone in the park, the cold wind pressing against his skin, his heart pounding with both fear and fascination. From that night on, Daniel could no longer ignore it. He followed her every evening, always watching, always learning from the shadows, and with each day his fear grew. Not only fear of her, but fear of the truth he was beginning to see. This was no accident. This was no chance meeting. Something larger was moving around his life, and he could feel it in his bones. The wealthy father had discovered more than a homeless girl. He had discovered a secret buried under stars, a secret now teaching his son, and though he wanted to run, he knew he could not, because the shadows were already closing in, and once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. Daniel had reached his limit. For days he had hidden in the shadows, watching his son learn from the strange girl, hearing her words that sounded older than time, seeing her glowing eyes shine like broken pieces of stars. He could no longer sit back, no longer watch in silence. The questions inside him had become too heavy, and the fear had become too sharp. On a cold afternoon, when the sky was painted with silver clouds, Daniel made his choice. Adam sat once again in the park with her, the homeless girl who seemed to belong everywhere and nowhere. Her hands moved across the dirt, her voice calm and deep, Adam repeated every word, every number. His young face glowing with pride, Daniel stepped forward, his expensive shoes striking the stone path, his tall figure casting a shadow over them. The girl looked up slowly, and for the first time, their eyes met without distance. His chest tightened, her eyes glowed softly, and yet carried a sadness so heavy that it made him pause. Adam gasped, "Father," his voice nervous. As if caught doing something wrong, Daniel's voice came hard, sharper than he intended. "Who are you? What are you doing with my son?" The girl did not flinch. She did not tremble. She looked at him with a strange calmness. Her lips moved and her voice came soft but steady. "I am helping him because your world is in danger." The words struck Daniel like a blade. His breath caught, his anger twisted into confusion. "What did you say?" he demanded, his tone rising. "What danger? What are you talking about?" Adam looked between them with wide eyes, his small hands clutching his school bag. The girl lowered her gaze for a moment, then lifted it again. "I ran from the stars, from fire, from death. I ran here, and I carry knowledge that must not die with me, your son. He listens, he learns, he can carry it too." Her words flowed like broken pieces of a larger truth. Daniel's body stiffened, his heart beating too fast. He wanted to call her a liar. He wanted to end this strange game, but deep inside he knew there was no lie in her eyes. Adam pulled his father's sleeve. "She's not bad, Father. She helps me. She makes me understand things." His young voice was desperate. Daniel looked at his son, the boy's face filled with hope he had never seen before. Then back at the girl, the silence between them heavy as stone. The father's mind fought itself. Logic screamed she was dangerous. Logic told him to take Adam away, but another voice, quiet but strong, whispered that this meeting was no accident, that perhaps she had chosen his son for a reason. Daniel clenched his fists, struggling to breathe normally. "Why my son?" he asked finally, his voice low, filled with suspicion. "Why him out of all the children in this city?" The girl's glowing eyes softened. "Because he listens with his heart, not only his mind. Others would not believe me. Others would run, but he sees me. He does not laugh. He does not turn away. He hears me." Her voice trembled, but her words were steady. Daniel felt something heavy stir inside him. Guilt, perhaps, for all the times he had failed to see his son, failed to give him the attention he deserved. A homeless stranger had done what he, a wealthy father, could not. His throat tightened, but he swallowed his emotions quickly. Still, he pressed her. "If what you say is true, then who are you? Where did you come from?" The girl's lips curved into a faint, sad smile. "I came from far beyond your maps, a world that burned, a world that no longer breathes. I am the last of my kind, and I am no one now, only memory. Only knowledge." The words sank deep into Daniel's chest. He stared at her, searching for any sign of a trick, but all he saw was pain, real pain, the kind no child should carry, the kind no human eyes could fake. For a long moment silence held them. Then Daniel spoke again, his voice iron but his heart uncertain. "If you are telling the truth, then you are not safe here. People will notice, they will come, and they will not care about your pain. They will care only about what you know." The girl nodded slowly. "I know, I feel them already. The watchers, they will come, that is why I teach quickly." Before time runs out, Daniel's chest grew tight. He looked at his son, then back at the girl. Fear and responsibility battling inside him. He had the power to protect her, but protecting her meant putting his son, his home, his own life in danger. And yet as he stood there, he realized something. The decision was already made. He had stepped into her world the moment he chose to confront her. There was no turning back now. That evening, Daniel walked home with Adam by his side. The girl stayed in the park, her eyes watching the stars. Daniel's mind burned with questions and fear, but one truth kept echoing inside him. This girl was not ordinary. This girl carried the weight of a dead world, and somehow his son had become her student. His life had changed forever. And now, whether he wanted it or not, he was part of it too. The father had stepped in, and the path ahead was darker, stranger, and far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. Daniel thought he had seen enough, but what came next shook him even more. After their first confrontation, he began meeting the girl often, sometimes standing at a distance, sometimes sitting close. His anger had softened, replaced by curiosity that burned like fire. He wanted answers, he wanted truth, but what he saw instead was something impossible to explain with human words. One afternoon, Adam tripped while running across the park. He fell on the stones and cut his knee. Blood stained his trousers. He cried out. Daniel rushed forward, but the girl was faster. She placed her small hand over the wound. Her eyes glowed faintly, and within seconds the bleeding stopped, the cut closed. The skin healed as if time itself had reversed. Adam gasped in amazement. Daniel froze in place, his heart pounding like thunder in his chest. He stared at her trembling hand, his voice hard and low. What did you just do?" The girl looked up with calm eyes. "I used what is left of my gift, nothing more," she whispered. Daniel could not believe his own eyes. No human medicine could heal like that. He had seen technology in hospitals worth millions, but never something so pure, so instant. That night, Daniel sat alone in his study, the city lights flashing outside the tall glass walls. His mind spun in circles. Was she a miracle or a danger? If the world knew what she could do, governments, corporations, even criminals would come for her. She would be hunted like an animal, and anyone near her would be caught in the storm, including his son, including him. But the very next day, she showed him another truth. She and Adam sat near a broken toy drone in the park. The drone was cracked, wires loose, nothing but junk, yet she only touched it with her fingers, her eyes flickering softly, and the small machine came to life again, its wings buzzing, its lights blinking, flying into the air as if it had never been broken. Adam laughed with joy, chasing the drone through the sky. Daniel felt the ground shift under his feet. He stepped closer, his voice sharp with awe. "You control machines," she nodded slightly. Her face calm but tired. "Only the small ones. Only what my strength allows. I am weaker here, but still." "The machines listen." Daniel's mind raced. This was no child, this was no runaway. She was something far beyond. Her body held secrets. Her mind carried knowledge lost to Earth. He could see it, feel it, and it terrified him. Yet it also pulled him closer, like a moth to flame. Adam grew brighter every day. He smiled more, he studied harder. He asked questions that even Daniel could not answer. And every time Daniel saw his son's glowing face, he felt the weight of a truth he could not escape. The girl was changing his boy, giving him hope, giving him knowledge, but also pulling him into a dangerous path. One evening, when the sky was purple with sunset, Daniel sat with her for the first time, truly sat beside her, his voice softer than before. "Why show us this? Why not hide your powers?" Her eyes turned toward the stars, her voice quiet. "Because time is short, and knowledge must live. Even if I do not, I am the last. And I cannot let it end with me." Her words struck him deep. Daniel leaned back, staring at her glowing eyes. He felt fear but also respect. She carried the weight of her people alone, a child, yet holding the silence of a destroyed world. But Daniel also saw something else, exhaustion. Her hands trembled after every act. Her breath grew heavy after healing or fixing machines. She was powerful, yes, but fragile too. Her strength was fading, and each time she used it, a piece of her seemed to break. That night, as he walked Adam home, he whispered to himself, "She is not just a danger. She is a dying flame," and he knew, if others saw her powers, they would not see the pain. They would see only a weapon. Still, curiosity gnawed at him. He began testing her in small ways, bringing broken gadgets, old watches, even a shattered communicator from his office. And each time she fixed them, not like an engineer, but like someone speaking directly to the heart of the machine. And each time she healed Adam's little scratches from play, Daniel's chest grew tighter, half in awe, half in fear. He wanted to protect her, but he also wanted to protect his son from her. The conflict inside him tore him apart. Then, one night, as he prepared to leave the park, she looked at him and said softly, "They are coming, the ones who watch. They will not let me stay hidden forever." His blood ran cold. He scanned the empty park, the shadows between the trees, the silence of the street, and for the first time, he felt eyes watching him, invisible, patient. Daniel walked home with Adam holding his hand. His mind racing, he had seen the hidden powers of the girl. He had seen miracles, but now he understood the price. They were not alone anymore. The world's gaze was slowly turning toward them, and once that gaze fell fully, there would be no turning back. The days that followed were no longer peaceful. The park that once felt quiet now carried a weight of eyes. Daniel noticed it first, shadows that moved when they should not, figures standing too long near the trees, black cars parked with engines off, and every time he looked closer, the figures were gone, but he knew. They were not ordinary strangers, the girl had warned him, and now he could feel it too. Someone was watching. Someone had heard whispers of the strange child with glowing eyes. Someone had learned too much already. Daniel's world was built on wealth and power, He knew how fast rumors could spread. He knew how quickly secrets became weapons, and the more he thought of it, the colder his blood ran. If the government knew, if the corporations knew, they would not see a child. They would see an opportunity, a living tool, a weapon worth more than gold. Adam noticed none of this. He only saw his friend. Every evening he ran to her, sitting with glowing eyes of his own, eager to learn, eager to hear her voice, but Daniel stood further back now, his chest heavy, his mind spinning with fear. Each laugh from his son felt like a countdown. Each moment with the girl felt like a step closer to disaster. One night, as Daniel drove home, a black car followed him, its lights dim, its movement too precise. He sped up, so did the car. He turned sharply, so did the car. Finally, he pulled into his private garage, the gates closing behind him, and the car vanished into the night. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. He was being followed, and not just once. The next day, his office security reported unusual attempts to break into his company's data servers. Nothing was stolen yet, but the attempts were precise. Professional. It was not thieves. It was something bigger. Daniel's heart sank. This was not coincidence. They were not just watching the girl. They were watching him, his family, his empire. That evening, when he went to the park, he found her sitting quietly, her glowing eyes staring at the sky, her body trembling faintly as if she had no strength left. Daniel stepped close, his voice sharp but low. "They know about you. They're coming for you." She turned her gaze slowly, sadness deep in her face. "I told you they would not let me hide forever, Adam." Innocent and trusting, looked at his father. "Who is coming?" "Father?" Daniel swallowed hard, unable to answer. How could he explain to his son that the world was filled with people who would break a child apart to steal her secrets? How could he make him understand the danger of being near her? For the first time, Daniel thought about leaving, about sending Adam away to safety, about abandoning the girl before it was too late. But when he looked into her glowing eyes, he saw something he could not run from. She was not only a danger, she was also hope, fragile hope wrapped in a dying body, and his son had already tied his heart to her. Still, the dangers grew. Men in suits appeared at his company building asking strange questions. Drones buzzed too low over his home. Neighbors whispered of strangers knocking on doors at night. Daniel's private security began reporting unusual signals. Unmarked transmissions circling his estate. The world was closing in, and the girl was at the center, yet Adam kept learning. His small notebook filled with strange symbols and formulas no teacher could understand. He asked questions Daniel himself could not answer. "Father, do you think stars can die like people?" "Father, do you think machines have hearts?" Daniel listened in silence, realizing his son was no longer the same child. He was changing, growing, carrying pieces of alien truth inside him. One evening, as the sun set in burning red, Daniel pulled the girl aside while Adam played near the swings, his voice urgent. "Why do you keep teaching him?" "You're putting him in danger." Her face turned toward him, calm but unshaken. "Because he is the only one who listens. Because he may be the only one left when I am gone." The words struck like fire in his chest. He wanted to deny them. He wanted to protect his son by pushing her away. But deep inside, he knew she was right. Knowledge was not safe, but ignorance would not save them either. That night, Daniel stood by Adam's bed as the boy slept peacefully. The alien notebook clutched to his chest like a treasure. Daniel's hand trembled as he brushed his son's hair, his mind spinning between love and fear. And in the silence, he whispered, "What have I brought into our lives?" The wealthy father was no longer just a man with power. He was a man marked by secrets, a man hunted by forces larger than himself. And the girl, fragile and glowing, was both gift and curse, hope and danger, and he knew now the world was moving closer every day. And when it arrived, no amount of money could protect them. The dangerous interest had begun, and there was no escape, only the path forward. A path leading straight into the unknown. The storm finally arrived, not of rain but of footsteps, engines, and silent eyes. Daniel had feared it for weeks, and one night his fear became real. It started with the sound of humming in the distance, a swarm of government drones circling the neighborhood like metal vultures. Adam was already asleep in his room, but Daniel stood at the window of his mansion, staring at the glowing lights in the sky. His chest heavy, his jaw locked. They had come. The watchers had finally decided to move. He rushed to the park where he knew she would be waiting. And there she was, the alien girl, sitting under the old trees, her eyes faint but glowing, her thin body shaking with exhaustion. When she saw him, she whispered, "They are here." And for the first time, Daniel felt her voice tremble with fear. Back at his home, Adam woke to the sound of glass rattling, shadows crossing outside his window. He ran to his father in panic. Daniel pulled him close, holding him tight. "We must go. Now." His voice strong but urgent. Adam's eyes filled with fear. "But what about her?" the boy asked. Daniel looked at the girl standing silently in the doorway, her glowing eyes meeting his, and in that moment he understood. He could not run without her. They left through the back gates. Daniel's private car roaring to life, the city lights flashing as the wheels hit the road. Behind them came the black vans, unmarked, silent but deadly, their engines low, their windows black. Adam clung to his father's arm as the chase began. The streets turned into a maze of neon lights and shadowed alleys. Daniel drove like a man possessed, twisting through corners, breaking limits, his hands tight on the wheel. The girl sat in silence, her eyes closed, whispering directions as if she could sense the paths ahead. "Left." "Not right." "They block the main road," she said, her voice steady even in the storm. Drones swooped down, red lights flashing. Daniel swerved sharply. One crashed into a wall in sparks. Another zipped overhead. The vans gained speed, their lights cutting through the night. Adam screamed, "They're too close." Daniel's teeth clenched. "Hold on," he growled. His car shot forward, barely missing the edge of an overpass. The girl opened her glowing eyes, lifted her trembling hands, and for a moment the drones above flickered, their lights stuttering, their wings faltering. Two spun out of control and fell in fire, but her body shook violently, sweat pouring down her pale skin. Daniel glanced at her. "Stop, you'll kill yourself," but she whispered, "I must buy us time." The chase tore through the city like a nightmare. Alarms wailed in the distance. The black vans never slowed, their drivers relentless. Daniel's car roared into the industrial district, the roads empty, the buildings tall and hollow. Adam cried, "Well, Father, where are we going?" Daniel's eyes burned with focus. "Somewhere they won't find us." Finally, he pulled into an abandoned safe house, one of his hidden properties known only to him. The gates closed behind them with a loud crash. Silence fell for a moment, only broken by their heavy breathing. Adam held the girl's trembling hand. Daniel stood tall, his face covered in sweat, his eyes blazing with anger. He looked at her hard. "They will never stop. You know this," she nodded slowly, her glowing eyes dim. "I know. They will hunt until I am gone, until I am nothing but memory." Daniel's fists tightened. "Then I must decide now. I must choose." His voice shook with the weight of his own words. Adam looked up at his father with pleading eyes. "We can't leave her, Father. She's my friend. She saved me. She helped me." Daniel's heart cracked. He had promised to protect his son. He had promised to never lose him, but protecting him now meant protecting her too, for their fates were already tied together. He stepped closer to the girl, his voice low but filled with iron. "Then listen to me. If you stay with us, you are family, and I will protect you, not as a stranger, not as a burden, but as my own. But if you betray us, if you bring death to my son, I will end it myself." Her glowing eyes filled with tears, the first he had ever seen. She whispered, "I will not betray you. I only want to live. I only want my knowledge to survive." Daniel turned to Adam, his son's face shining with both fear and hope. And in that moment, the father made his choice. He would not hand her over. He would not run away. He would stand with her, fight for her, because his son had chosen her, and through his son's eyes, he too had begun to see her not as a danger, but as something worth saving. The safe house lights flickered as distant engines roared outside. The hunters had not given up. They were closing in. Daniel stood tall, his mind steady now, his decision clear. "Then we fight," he whispered to himself, and for the first time in his life, the wealthy father was not fighting for money, not for power, but for family. The choice was made, and the chase had only just begun. The safe house walls shook as engines roared outside. The hunters had tracked them. Their black vans now circled like wolves around prey. Drones hummed in the sky, red lights flashing in the night. Daniel stood by the window, his fists clenched, his jaw tight. He had made his choice already. There was no running anymore, only fighting. Adam clung to the girl's hand, his young face pale but brave. "Father, what will they do if they take her?" he asked softly. Daniel's chest tightened. He could not tell his son the truth. That they would break her apart, study her, turn her into a weapon. He only whispered, "They will never take her." "Not while I breathe." The girl looked weak. Her glowing eyes dim, her voice trembling. "You cannot fight them all. They are many. They are powerful." Daniel turned to her, his voice hard but steady. "I have power too. Not their kind, but enough. And tonight I will use it." He opened the safe house vault, revealing hidden weapons, shields, and devices he had kept for years. The legacy of a man who lived in a dangerous world. Adam's eyes widened. "Father, you never told me." Daniel looked at him firmly. "Because I never wanted you to see this side of me. But now you must. Now we survive together." The first explosion hit the gates, steel bending, sparks flying. The enemy was close. Daniel armed himself, his movements precise, his eyes burning. The girl stepped forward, her body trembling. "Let me help," she whispered. He shook his head. "You're too weak." But she lifted her glowing hands, her voice calm. "Weak, but not useless." The gates burst open. Black-suited agents poured inside, their weapons raised. Their steps sharp and cold. Daniel fired first. The air filled with light and sound. Sparks and smoke. Adam hid behind the shielded wall, holding the girl's hand as she closed her eyes, her glowing power flickering through the wires of the safe house. The lights brightened. The machines awoke. The entire house became alive under her touch. Drones rushed in through the broken windows. But suddenly their wings froze, their red eyes flickered, and they crashed to the ground like broken insects. Daniel glanced back in shock. The girl stood still, her small hands raised, sweat dripping down her face. "I can hold them," she whispered. But not for long. The fight raged on. Daniel moved with the focus of a man who had nothing left to lose. Every step, every shot, every strike was for his son. For the fragile hope beside him, the agents pressed hard. But Daniel pressed harder. Then one of the agents broke through the line. Charging toward Adam, the boy froze in fear. The girl's glowing eyes blazed brighter than ever before, and with a scream she raised her hand. The agent was thrown back by a burst of invisible force. Slamming into the wall unconscious, Adam gasped, staring at her in awe, but the girl fell to her knees. Her strength fading fast, Daniel rushed to her side, his voice rough. "Stay with us, don't you dare give up." She smiled faintly, her glowing eyes dimming. "I will not." "If you stand," more vans arrived. More agents poured in. The fight seemed endless, until Daniel made a choice. He lured them deeper into the safe house, leading them into a trap he had built years ago. A system of collapsing walls and hidden charges with one final push. He activated it. The ground shook, the walls folded. The hunters were buried under fire and steel. Silence fell. Smoke filled the air. The safe house cracked but stood. Daniel stumbled back to his son and the girl, his body bruised, his face covered in sweat. Adam hugged him tightly. "You did it, Father," the boy whispered. Daniel looked down at him, then at the girl, who leaned weakly against the wall, her glowing eyes faint but alive. For a long moment no one spoke, then Daniel said, his voice low but strong, "You are safe now. But this is only the beginning. They will come again stronger, but until then, you stay with us, not as a burden, not as a secret, but as family." The girl's lips trembled, her eyes filling with tears. "Family," she whispered, as if tasting the word for the first time. Adam smiled wide, holding her hand. "Yes, family." That night, as the three of them sat together in the broken safe house, the stars shone above. Cold and endless, Daniel stared at them, knowing the truth. This fight was not over. It had only begun, and somewhere out there beyond the stars, bigger dangers were watching, waiting, but for now, he was not just a wealthy father. He was something more, a protector, a fighter, and for the first time since his wife's death, he felt hope, fragile but real. The final stand had been won, but the war of tomorrow still waited in the shadows of the universe.